Well, hello everyone, Dan Toman here. So today's topic is going to be a little bit more on the general side, and the great thing about that is that this topic applies to literally every team member across our entire company, regardless of their role or property. So today we're going to spend some time and we're going to talk about different phrases that are used in our hospitality industry on a daily basis, dozens and dozens and dozens of times a day. And if they're not being used that often, then there's some real opportunity here that we need to overcome. But we're going to spend a few quick moments talking about this right now. So, some of these could be pretty basic for some folks, but I don't think that we oftentimes utilize them just as much as we possibly could. So the first one I'm going to talk about is probably one that you're all thinking, of course he's going to talk about this. Use of the phrase, thank you and we appreciate. So, thank you. Of course we all say thank you quite often. But I think that there's a lot of times when we could say it even more. We can say thank you for your business, thank you for your feedback, thank you for letting me see your smiling face today, thank you for being a part of my day, thank you for dining in our restaurant. There's so many, you can say thank you nonstop all day long to folks. Literally just in passing in your corridors or as folks come within that 10 and 5 feet from you, thank you for your business. Every single team member in our operations can say that and mean it. Because let's face it, folks, these folks that are walking by us literally are the reason that we're here. The next one is going to be welcome and welcome back. So again, this is one that everyone can use regardless of the situation. You don't have to be presented with a question or a checkout or a check-in or a situation in a restaurant where you need to be picking up a check, so on and so forth. Thank you, we appreciate, and welcome. These three, all of our team members and all of us can use these three all the time just in passing with folks. There's no specific situation that we need to present itself to use these phrases. And the more often that our guests hear these phrases while they're with us, it will become that much more apparent that as an entire group and property, we actually mean it, all right? So it's important to mean these things. And let's face it, folks, if you're pulling it from within too much on some of the things that I'm telling you, and these things seem really uncomfortable and like they're forced, you know, we're in the service industry at the end of the day. And when you're in the service industry, it shouldn't be forced to have that guest interaction, a quality guest interaction. So to me, that would make me question my reason for being here. All right, so the next one is going to be, it's my pleasure. I use that one quite frequently. And that's one that's a little bit different for some folks than thank you and welcome. It's going the next step. So it's my pleasure, or it would be my pleasure, or it was my pleasure. All right? When would we use this? Situations when we would use this phrase would be as a substitute for got it, okay, no problem, certainly. It's my pleasure, it was my pleasure, it would be my pleasure. Those phrases, they're just more polished, they're more refined, for lack of better words. So our guests are here for an experience. We want to provide them that experience. And using these slang phrases, no problem, they convey a lackadaisical and a almost negative connotation. The word problem itself is at its root a negative word. So why would we make it a habit to be using a negative word when we're trying to have a positive interaction and all we want at the end of the day is for our guests to leave here and want to return? So why would we ever continually interject a negative word? So we're going to get in the habit of saying it was my pleasure, it would be my pleasure. This can be done in person, on the telephone with call transfers. There's so many different situations. If you think about the times throughout your day when you say got it, or okay, or no problem, or certainly, those are just 4 examples. There are many more. the amount of times where you could say, it was my pleasure, it would be my pleasure, who doesn't want to hear that at the end of the day? Who doesn't want to hear that you were pleased to simply have an interaction with them? That's a positive situation. You're removing those negative ones and interjecting positives. I'm happy to. That's also a good substitute. If you get tired of using it would be my pleasure, it was my pleasure, I'm happy to is another one as well that can be used. Is there anything else? Again, this is one that can seem a little cliche, but let's face it, folks, we are here, and one of our goals should be to anticipate the needs of our guests. Knowing what our guests need before they tell us that they need it. That's kind of our job. So, but one of those things that you sometimes do have to do is ask, is there anything else? That again conveys that helpful tone, a genuine helpful tone to folks. And again, a lot of it is how you say things. So having eye contact with folks, using a pleasant tone of voice and open body language, those things always help to reiterate these phrases as being genuine, all right? Looking individuals in the eye as opposed to hem-hawing around or kind of looking down at the side, so on and so forth, or looking around them. All right, so we look forward to welcoming you back. We look forward to seeing you again. This is going to be the final one I'm going to talk about right now. The biggest thing, the most important metric on most of our surveys, if you're part of a brand, a franchise or not, is that intent to return or intent to recommend. All right, so and that is always weighted extremely high, and with some franchise brands that is actually weighted the highest of all of the metrics that are measured on a survey, and there's a reason for that. If the guest had a mediocre experience, what are the chances that they're going to want to return? Why wouldn't they want to try another hotel in your market that they may get a better than mediocre experience? All right, it takes a certain interaction, a certain level for someone to want to actually recommend your hotel or want to return. They had to have genuinely had a good time, okay, and enjoyed their stay, had a productive stay, or a fun stay with their family, so on and so forth. That intent to return or intent to recommend means that it was just tipped over the edge on that upswing, on that positive note. So when we say we look forward to welcoming you back, you're inferring to the guest, we're going to see you again. And when you say that to the guest, and again, this is one that any employee can say. This does not have to be said just at checkout, all right? We can say that when we're presenting a check in our restaurant. The guest isn't leaving yet, but we certainly want them to return to our restaurant. Of course, this can be said at checkout and should always be said at checkout. However, any team members walking up and down the corridors, present in the lobby, present at the entry area, passing by guests in the parking area, seeing guests walking to the fitness center or the pool, you can say this at any time. Folks, any of you that have watched me or been at any of my presentations, you know one of the things that I like to say. If it sounds corny and like it's out of a training video, you're probably doing it right. Now, Dan, why would I say, just to a random person, we look forward to seeing you again? Why would I say that? It sounds cheesy. Well, guess what, folks? Cheesy is right in this situation, and things are in a training video for a reason, and that's because it's the right thing to do, okay? So, thank you. We appreciate. Welcome back. It was my pleasure. It would be my pleasure. It was my pleasure, so on and so forth. I'm happy to, again, substitute for it's my pleasure. Is there anything else we can do for you? Insert to make your stay more enjoyable, or just leave it that way. Is there anything else that we can do for you today? And we look forward to welcoming you back. We look forward to seeing you again. If you get in the habit of these phrases, interjecting them just whenever possible throughout your day, it will literally change the way that you look at the guests in front of you, that your guests absolutely look back at you and your hotel, and you'll come off far more refined and professional. All right? Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Appreciate your time today.